In 1944, William Friedman spread the photographs across his desk in Washington. He'd just broken Japan's most sophisticated military cipher, a system the imperial government called Purple. He was the most capable codebreaker alive. The photographs were pages from a medieval manuscript. Hundreds of them, covered in symbols he'd never seen before and couldn't name. No known alphabet, no known language. He applied everything. He got nowhere. That manuscript is at Yale University right now. In 600 years, no human being has read a single word of it. You're listening to The Unlit Room. Every story in here actually happened. That's the part that should scare you. New stories every day, Monday through Saturday. Today, the most mysterious book in the world. And the reason it's still unreadable may be stranger than the book itself. The book is called The Voynich Manuscript. It's held at Yale's Voynich Rare Book Library in New Haven, Connecticut. Catalogued there as MS 408. 240 pages of vellum, thin animal skin, the writing surface of the medieval world. Every page is covered in an unknown script that matches no known writing system on Earth. And throughout the book, detailed illustrations of plants that don't exist in nature, elaborate astronomical diagrams, and rows of small human figures bathing in green liquid connected by winding tubes. Nobody knows what any of it means. The book's modern story starts in 1912, but it didn't start there. The earliest written reference we have dates to 1639, a letter from Georg Baresch, a Prague alchemist, to Athénée Schü's Kierkegaard, one of the most learned scholars in Europe. Baresch had owned the manuscript for years. He'd tried to decipher it and failed. He wrote to Kierkegaard asking for help, describing the book as taking up space uselessly in his library. Kierkegaard couldn't solve it either. The manuscript passed through hands across the centuries, another Prague scholar, and likely into the vast private collection of Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II, whose court in the early 1600s paid handsomely for rare and mysterious objects. By the 1700s, it had found its way into the Jesuit order's library. Then, in 1912, a Polish-Lithuanian book dealer named Wilfrid Voynich arrived at Villa Mondragone, a crumbling Jesuit estate in the hills above Frascati outside Rome. The Jesuits were selling off old manuscripts to fund roof repairs. Voynich worked through the chests methodically. He found it. 240 pages of dense handwritten script in an alphabet he didn't recognize. No punctuation, no corrections, no visible break between sections. Just page after page of fluid, confident writing in a language he'd never seen anywhere. He bought it immediately and brought it back to London. He spent the rest of his life trying to identify it. He showed photographs to the Library of Congress. He submitted pages to linguists, historians, classical scholars. Nothing held. He died in 1930 without a translation. The manuscript passed to his wife, then to a rare books dealer, and finally in 1969 it was donated to Yale's Voynich Library, where it has been ever since, in a climate-controlled case, completely silent. The illustrations alone have kept researchers occupied for decades. The herbal section contains 113 drawings of plants with bulbous, segmented root systems drawn in vivid detail. Botanists have matched none of them conclusively to any real species. They appear to be composites or inventions. Some pages fold out to 6 times their normal size, revealing cosmological diagrams that cover the full spread. Whether the images are key or decoration, nobody can say. But before any of the serious code-breaking began, one question had to be settled first. Was the manuscript genuinely old, or was the whole thing an elaborate fraud? In 2009, researchers at the University of Arizona ran radiocarbon dating on the vellum itself. The results? The material was made between 1404 and 1438. The physical substrate of the manuscript is genuinely 600 years old. That closed off the simplest explanation. Nobody in the modern era had manufactured it. If there was a forgery here, it happened in the Renaissance itself. And then came the Codebreakers. Friedman examined it in the 1940s. He assembled a team of army cryptanalysts and applied the same systematic rigor that had broken Axis codes. Frequency analysis, known plaintext attacks, pattern matching against every language structure they knew. They treated it as a cipher, as a shorthand, as an artificial alphabet. Every technique that had defeated Japan's military hit a wall. The NSA declassified Friedman's working files in 2004. Hundreds of pages of notes and charts. Every path ended the same way. John Tiltman of British intelligence followed him. Prescott Currier, an NSA linguist, worked on it for years after that. Nobody got further. In 2004, a computer scientist named Gordon Rugg suggested the whole thing might be a Renaissance con job. Text generated by sliding a template called a cardan grill, a card with holes cut into it, over a grid of syllables to produce convincing-looking combinations. He demonstrated it was technically possible. It was a clean, satisfying theory. Then the statistics got complicated. Because the text wasn't random noise. The deeper anyone looked, the more structure they found, and the harder it became to explain away. Starting in the 1960s, linguists began applying formal statistical tools to the manuscript, the same methods used to measure and compare living languages. What they found was striking. The script had internal grammatical rules. Certain symbol combinations appeared consistently, others never appeared at all. The words, if they were words, fell into length distributions typical of natural human language. The vocabulary count matched the working range of a real tongue. And most telling, the symbols at the beginning, middle, and end of each word followed different probability rules, exactly the way letters do in actual writing. In English, you don't start a word with CK. You rarely end one with TH. The Voynich script showed the same kind of positional grammar, symbols that belonged at word openings, symbols that belonged at word endings. It wasn't noise. Someone had built something with internal logic. There are 3 serious theories, and none of them are comfortable. The first, it's a real language in an unknown cipher. Friedman's original position. The text has structure because it encodes actual meaning in a system nobody has reversed. If this is true, there's a key. Or there was a key, and it's gone. The second, it's a constructed language. Friedman's later view. Someone in the 1400s invented an entirely new encoding system, complete with its own grammar and vocabulary. There were no known constructed languages in 15th century Europe. If this is true, whoever wrote the Voynich Manuscript was working at the frontier of linguistic philosophy 5 centuries before the field had a name. The third, it's a sophisticated hoax. Text designed to mimic language without being language, built to deceive a wealthy patron who paid well for rare and mysterious objects. The cipher theory and the hoax theory both fit the physical evidence. They can't both be right. In 2001, a mathematician named Gabriel Landini tested the manuscript against something called Zipf's law, a mathematical relationship that describes word frequency in natural language. In English, the most common word appears roughly twice as often as the second most common word, which appears twice as often as the third. The ratio holds with remarkable consistency across languages, across centuries, across writing systems. The Voynich Manuscript follows Zipf's law, not approximately, precisely, with the same statistical distribution you'd find in Latin, Arabic, or Chinese. Zipf's law wasn't formally described until 1935. The manuscript predates that discovery by 5 centuries, which means either someone in the 1400s encoded a real spoken language in it, a language thought in and built into a person's neurology across a lifetime, or someone in the 1400s understood the deep mathematical structure of language well enough to replicate its most fundamental statistical properties in a system that has defeated every modern tool ever aimed at it. Either answer is extraordinary, neither has been ruled out. The Voynich Manuscript is available for download right now, all 240 pages, free from Yale's digital library. Researchers have fed it to machine learning models, natural language processors, and AI translation systems. None of them have produced a reading that holds up. What the manuscript teaches us, maybe, is that intelligence alone doesn't unlock the past. The book isn't hidden or damaged or incomplete. The context that would make it readable, The author, the community, the tradition it emerged from, is simply gone. We built telescopes that can see the light of galaxies formed before our solar system existed. We haven't deciphered a book written in the same century as the Gutenberg Bible. Some doors stay closed. If this one kept you up tonight, good. New stories every day, Monday through Saturday. Subscribe so the next one finds you too. Follow the Unlit Room wherever you listen. Tell a friend who can't sleep. Full story on the main channel. Follow if you're wide awake. That was the Unlit Room. See you in the dark.